We had one time that gang was in the city of Philadelphia. We beat that problem. We can beat this problem. This problem is beatable. There have been cities that have demonstrated that you can reduce the level of violence. Obviously, there's short term. You kind of heard what Al talked about in terms of policing, modernizing police force, and leadership that is necessary. But I believe that violence is a learned behavior. Violence is a learned behavior. And the fact of the matter is, from a public health perspective, it needs to be a part of our strategy. So yes, we can do the things that we need to do on the short-term aspect, but we also need to understand that we ourselves, this is not just a governmental problem, this is a people problem. And we need to have those kinds of discussions. We need to talk about parental responsibility. We need to talk about what occurs again. And we need to talk about the gun policy issues. Now, it's all of those things together, because it has been demonstrated. If New York City with 8 million people can demonstrate that they have been able, over 3 mayors, to be able to reduce it, we can do it here. We got to stop this defeatist attitude that it's not possible to reverse this problem.
Some of our young people in this audience.
I talked to the mayor, I think it was about a couple of months ago. There was a shooting at Ogontz in Top Aqua Street where an individual got shot in the head. And when I talked to the mayor, what I did is I offered an olive branch for whatever differences that we may have had in the past, that I thought it was strange that this destruction that is occurring among African-American male to African-American male. And I said to the mayor at that particular time that I thought it was very important that he and I, send a message, no matter whatever our political differences may be. I thought it was extremely important in my role as chairman of the Appropriation Committee and him as mayor of the city, that we send a message to the people of the city that we are determined to reduce this problem. I say this in closing because the numbers show that between 18 and 40, primarily African-American male in North Philadelphia, and West Philadelphia, and South Philadelphia, that this problem is a problem among African-American males. So what I basically said to him, that I'm prepared in anything that I can do to cooperate with him 100% to address what I think is the #1 problem, not just in the city of Philadelphia, but particularly in the African-American community, this destruction of African-American male on African-American male.
Queenie.
What I would ask,
I go back to where I started with the community college theme about the path to the possibilities. The path to the possibilities. And what prevents the path to the possibilities? First and foremost is the question of violence. Violence prevents every and anyone, no matter wherever they live in the communities throughout the city of Philadelphia. If they don't have a safe community, they don't have an orderly community, it interferes with their path to possibilities. If the school system is not working, where they have the true opportunity to be available, that at the top flight school, 21st century, it prevents their path to the possibilities. If politics is not open and transparent and everybody have an opportunity to participate, it prevents the path to the possibilities. At some point, we have to begin to recognize the tale of two cities. We have a city that is black and white. We have a city that is poor and rich. We have a city that is educated or uneducated. In order to move people to the path of possibilities, the next mayor has to begin to address the question of violence, has to address the question of education, and has to address the question of leadership. And providing a kind of leadership that brings people together, that will focus to move this city forward. Thank you very much.
Councilman Nutter.
MBEC was created in a different age. It was created, as a matter of fact, with a veto override. Mayor Bill Green vetoed MBEC. It was a woman named Beverly Harper, and then Lou Blackwell was driving the issue at that time. So when MBEC was created, it was in a different age and a different time. And one, first and foremost, there's a couple things I think need to happen. First thing is that Governor Rendell, Mayor Rendell, used to have a person in his office that used to deal with economic development. So that would be what I consider an expediter. And that's good to expedite and process things in minority business development. The second thing is the system must be changed. The MBEC today cannot be what it was yesterday. It's in a different era because the whole market has changed. I believe that MBEC should not be about the certification. Certification should be handled by the Greater Philadelphia Urban Coalition. So certification should be separate from what takes place in government. The other piece is, I believe that you got to build the capacity for business development. Della Clark has the Enterprise Center in West Philadelphia, and she enterprises growth from businesses. She has a retail institute, which I suggested that she started, called the Dr. Walter Lomax Retail. So you simultaneously need a couple things. First and foremost, the mayor needs to have somebody specifically in his office that makes a priority. Secondly, we must reorganize our MBEC and separate the certification, and I will put that outside the city government. And the fourth thing would be is to take the Enterprise Center and begin to build capacity of businesses to be available to take advantage of the opportunity. And the last piece is that we will form partnerships. We will form partnerships where minority and women businesses may not have the capacity to move right in, but over time they will. But it has to be a committee started in the mayor's office. Very similar to what Evan Dell did with economic development. It has to start in the mayor's office.
And the same question to Mr. Taubenberger.